some observations. There's a couple of things. One, there's lies being told. One of the lies being told is that they keep saying Americans have universal support, that we have bipartisan support for gun control. Yeah. I need people to stop saying that lie, because there's universal support for like universal background checks. And that's when you ask the question, just very like tamely, do you think people should have a background check when they purchase a gun? And I'm talking about like very routine background check, run your ID, mission and warrants pop up, right?
Yeah.
Most shooters are gonna pass that already. Anything deeper than that, where we're actually trying to catch the shooters that we're talking about, it automatically starts going to most people don't support it, right? When they talk about AR-15 bans, not universal supported, right? There's staunch people. There's people who are staunchly against it, and then on top of that, there's people who haven't made their minds up yet because they have other things to deal with. And if you really like start to like grill them down, and they're like, I don't know, probably not. It's gonna require me to do something. I don't want to deal with it. On top of all of that, the second lie is being told, right? No one has brought to the Supreme Court any of this. We're talking about gun control. We probably need to talk about the fact that there's a case in front of the Supreme Court where I think it's highly likely the Supreme Court is about to say that shall not infringe means most gun control is outlawed. Because like New York has a law where like you basically have to have like, if you come to the state with a gun, you got to register it. You got to like have a reason for it.
No, it's super difficult. It's super difficult to have a gun in New York.
Yeah. And they're talking about this. I'm more likely that law's going to get thrown out. And we're moving towards, and I think we have 6 votes on the courts now that are either shall not infringe or just the smallest infringement possible, you know? And so I think we're not talking about that enough. And that's another lie that's being told. Because like, if we're going to, because they keep talking as if gun control is easy, but we just need to do it. Y'all don't care enough. We just need to do it. And I'm like, this, the people with you, the people are not with you on this issue like you think they are, right? I know people can get into their silos and get on Twitter, but man, I live in Texas. I see it every day. They're not with you.
Every day.
Yeah. And the second thing is that you may have, even if they work with you, Supreme Court's not with you on this. And that's a whole nother issue, right? All right, welcome back to Relatively Conscious. My name is Thomas Brown.
Irvin Bryant.
Shout out to DJ for making our beat.
At DW Made That on social media.
Follow us on social media.
That's at Kinda Woke on Instagram and Twitter. Relatively Conscious everywhere else. Like, subscribe, follow, share, comment, and express your frustration because there has been another mass shooting, in particular a school shooting in Uvalde, Texas.
Yeah, these are becoming a common occurrence. More common than the Yankees win the World Series, and it's I was getting to the point where it's like I don't have rage anymore. Like, you know, people you can be outraged about things. I don't have rage anymore about this type of things. I feel like an old black man in 30s, just like, yep, they lynched somebody. That's what be happening.
Okay, boom. So off this the take from the hip, you know. Well, without getting too deep, it's very clear that a few things are true. First off, this just happened yesterday, so we don't, know a lot of information. But we know that an 18-year-old bought a gun, powerful gun, lethal gun. All guns are to a certain degree lethal or powerful, but this one in particular, good at killing people. AR-15, and took it to school, shot the kids, shot his grandmother, shot teacher. They're gone. Here's the thing though, we've seen this so many times and we know, okay, gun control, we're not going to do that. Second Amendment rights, come and take it, blah blah blah. Okay. I own guns. I'm a Texan, always been one, always been around the guns. I don't really, I'm not one of those like gunophobic or whatever. I hunt, home defense, you know what I'm saying? Someone did try to break into the whip the other day. It was like a month ago, but you know what I'm saying? And the heat was tucked. I was like, yo, what you trying to do? You know what I'm saying? So it gets real out here. Murder rate is high. I understand it. But what I don't understand is taking no action. Because though I enjoy my rights and I do want to protect myself and my folks, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I know Black people need to be armed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. My family history, I already know. living in the South, it's like that. All that I'm willing to forego to a certain degree, right? Not wiping, not gun confiscation, but, and I don't own an AR-15, by the way, right? Mm-hmm. I own 2 hunting rifles and what's it called? 38
Block.
Special.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Little tiny thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that guy. Straight up, I'm not the one. So, certain Rambo-like weapons and the ease of access we have for them, we don't want to take any steps to curtail that. I know a lot of those solutions are cumbersome and they may not exactly work for XYZ. They may not stop this shooting. They may not stop that shooting, but we want to do nothing when these are coming more and more frequent in this particular state where we don't regulate guns nigh at all. It doesn't add up. At what point do we say, do something? That's where I'm trying to channel everybody else's rage. I'm like you. I'm kind of numb to it. Mm-hmm. But I do work at an actual school and I do love those kids. And in my mind, I did, think about like, what would I, what would I do? And do something, please.
Yeah. To me, this situation is analogous to the slavery issue or the question of the 19th century slavery, because one side is vehemently against, stingently against any type of action, and anything they go the opposite direction to make it easier to access guns. And so we're talking about slavery. We're talking about the Federal Slave Act that allowed people to go and recapture slaves when they went to the north. We're talking about making it easier to trade slaves, right? I think that's where more. I think people, if you're talking about scales, basically, I don't think there's any amount of children or grandmothers who could die at the hands of a mass shooting to make certain people or the right as a whole change their mind about this. I think if it could be 100, it could be 20 every other day. I don't think it's enough as a number that's high enough to make them really say, I'm going to do something about this.
Context, real fast. This just occurred to me. And I was thinking, because I said the sentence that guns are not unregulated in the state of Texas.
Yeah.
And I said, well, wait a second. I can think of some gun regulations. Here's the gun regulations that I'm thinking of, though. People often complain about high capacity magazines and the type of death that people are able to, usher into the world. In some places, they're illegal. How you procure them may or may not be on the up and up. Regardless, in hunting situations, not only having a high capacity magazine is stupid, because you just won't get to use it, but it is so illegal to have more than, depending on what you're hunting and the type of gun you have, more than 5 rounds in your weapon, right? 5 bullets able to be shot at a deer. Okay, this is the animal we're talking about. That you're the game warden. If he catches you like that with too many rounds, they'll just take your gun on the spot, and there is nothing that you can do about it. And not only can they confiscate your weapon, they can also levy a hefty fine. I'm talking thousands of dollars. No joke. You don't play about poaching. That's a deer, a quail, a duck.
I mean, but again,
I just that content, that just live and direct. You just saw me. I'm like, wait a second.
But again,
it don't add up. It don't add up.
I mean, it does add up to me though. It adds up to me. Like,
so when I'm in the woods, the safest place to be having these, no, you lock it down. We're not losing the deer population. We're not going to do the deer like we did the turkey. But once we had in civilization in Houston, the Metroplex, once we're in El Paso, oh nah.
Yeah, I mean that's
all bets are off.
Yeah, that's the calculus. I mean, they went to open carry, they went to basically no permit carry.
Yes, that's exactly.
Greg Abbott passed
and by the way, you also have to have a hunting license. So if the game warden finds you in the woods looking like you're gonna hunt something with a bunch of bullets, and you don't have a hunting license, I'm pretty sure you're going to jail. But if you're not going to jail, the fine is crazy, and your gun is being confiscated, which is the type of stuff that you're getting at. That's a civil war issue. Gun confiscation, it's a war.
And the reason why I say slavery is not like civil rights, because because civil rights, you can move. if black people come into your school, if Eisenhower has brought in the National Guard to go ahead and integrate Arkansas High, you can move. You can move to another
Little
school.
Rock.
Little Rock High. You can move to another high school. Basically, you can go private. That's within West Virginia.
Yeah.
West Virginia, they shut down a whole school district. And so like there was always an ability to where I could get away from what was going on. I can move to spaces where there's less black people and I have to deal with integration. Gun confiscation and gun regulation requires is a direct act on me, my person, right?
Now look, we're sticking on the first half of this discussion, but ideas are coming to mind as you're saying things.
Yeah.
And here's the crazy part about that. Again, I identify with all the gun rights. I understand. I'm not feeling the mutiny against the government vibes, the come and take it vibes.
Yeah.
But on the personal, you know what I'm saying? As a black man, I can't trust y'all. Okay. But let's just talk about, we are the gun country. Shout out Childish Gambino. This is America. I think a lot of us missed the point. The song is primarily about gun violence, for real, because people be getting shot. No country has the amount of guns. Nobody's guns are as lethal. Nobody produces them in such high quantity. Nobody makes as much money off of them. Our military is, of course, second to none on a global scale. We're the gun country. There are so many guns here. That we literally cannot count them. There is no federal amount. We can track so many numbers of so many different things and tell you exactly how many exist, how many have been sold, how many are in circulation. We haven't a clue how many guns exist within the United States. And these are legally purchased, legally traded, legally owned, but you cannot know. Now, real quick, these are death sticks. It's a stick you pointed at somebody and they die.
Yeah.
There's that many. They are traded and maintained. They don't necessarily expire. As long as you clean oil, you know what I'm saying, make sure it's in working condition, you can fire a gun from 1776 if you want to. To cease the sale or production of a certain gun, which has been proposed, depending on whatever type of rifle you're talking about, would have such a low impact on the freedom-loving breed, the come and take it breed, the Second Amendment right to bear arms. They said it in the Supreme Court, and I get to have whatever kind of gun I want to fight tyranny. Not at all impacted, because not only there's just so many guns exist, you can buy them from another person. You can upgrade and modify, and there's just enough. There's just simply enough. There will never be enough for you to defeat the U.S. Army to actually stage, a revolution. But there's more than enough. There just simply is the amount that you need. Like, I have 3 guns. I don't need them. I simply don't. At the end of the day, I don't need any of them. But ultimately, for my defense, I need one, and I can pick any one of them.
Yeah,
and the other 2 can go to the neighbor in need of self-defense. My mind is blown by that fact that we have enough, and we were like, no, we have to continue selling them. And it's not the gun lobby that says that. Those are private citizens who themselves, and the only people who say that, own more than enough. They have a gun locker stocked with all manner of death stick. My mind cannot handle it.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I said it's comes down to war. To do anything about it requires like an actual war, because like gun control is not supposed to happen in any form or fashion. And the only way it could happen, this is crazy, the only way it could happen is if you were trying to stop black people with weapons. It's true. We're talking about the 1960s when California, Ronald Reagan signed one of the first gun control laws. It's because the Black Panthers pulled up on the stake in Sacramento, state capitol with rifles, and they were like, "Not supposed to do that anymore." And then when Joe Biden and then passed the AR-15 ban, and of course, I don't people like to dog on Joe Biden as if everything he did was racist. This is something that I understand. The LAPD was outgunned. People had an AR, had Tech 9s, P90s, Uzis. There's a video.
Literally getting weapons from Israel.
Yeah, there's a video of Eazy running behind Ice Cube in a interview with the Uzi. Like, what? Yeah, and so
Walk around with a Mac 10 on your hip.
yeah, and so I saw that not too long ago in Houston. People, yeah,
It's terrifying.
and so that's why they did AR-15 ban, because it was thugs with these type of guns. But now we're talking about white kids with these type of guns. They're not going to do that at all. I'll go to war over that. They'll go to not Antonius Brown. Chill. They'll go to war over that. Yeah, come and take it basically. And that's why I don't know why I understand the outrage and the people's being mad about it, but I really feel like it becomes futile to continue to I don't know to harp on something that's not going to happen. Like gun control reform probably is not going to happen, which is why my hot take, my other one, is that maybe we should listen to Dan Patrick's 1 point. All right, he had 2 points. One was the armed teachers. You're a teacher. That's not a good idea, right?
Oh boy. I thought it was a bad idea, you know what I'm saying? Just from before I was fully employed, I was just on the student teaching, shadowing, but they shielded my young eyes from truly how insane teachers can be.
Yeah.
I do not trust. And I know the craziest ones I already know have guns. That's the worst part.
Yeah.
My craziest coworkers I know are strapped. And I'm like, man, I'm so glad it's illegal for you to bring that hoe on campus.
Yeah. And also because if we have Asian police officers shooting black people, and they're trained, you're going to train teachers. I'm telling you, it's going to be a 15-hour course on a Saturday. It's going to be most of the time at the range, and that's going to be it. And then Tyrone Jamal will get to talking funny in class one day, and the gym teacher's going to shoot them.
This boy said Tyrone and Jamal like it's 1990.
But that's what it'll happening. Like it's going to be
no, it's a fact. I don't doubt that at all.
Yeah, and so that's why.
If not for the fact, well, and see, especially with some, I don't know if these white women, because a lot of teachers are white women, right? Suburban teachers especially. I don't know if they're trying to come strapped like that. Usually I hear men talking that talk.
That's why it's a gym teacher.
Yeah, but especially if Karen is strapped,
yeah,
I'm terrified.
Yeah, because all it takes is he gets belligerent class. I was in 6th grade. We had this kid who was belligerent class. He jumped on a desk one time and told the teacher to do some things I cannot repeat. And then he had a cast on his arm and then broke it on her desk.
Well, that's actually
yeah.
See, then, right there, she got pointed at him.
And then walked out of class. But you can definitely know she calls the gym teacher who's strapped. He comes on running, and she's like, "My life is in danger. Please help me." And then his name was Devontae. Devontae gets shot, and it happens in front of all of us. So that's one of my issues with it. And so, but the other thing that he said that Dan Patrick said, I think we probably should listen to, is making schools cathedrals of security, basically. And the reason why I kind of agree with this is that in the 90s, we had an issue of school shootings in Black neighborhoods. There were more so gang violence happening on school grounds. Those have lessened because most schools, high schools in Black areas now have what's called
police presence,
a heavy police presence, and also no detectors as you go in, right? And so you're just not able to bring that onto school grounds. Most of the time, someone gets shot and there's a gang-related incident that happens off campus, which happened in Humboldt not too long ago, or it happens at a party later on, which happened in Westfield when I was growing up. And so it happens less on school campus just because you can't really bring it up to campus like that. Maybe that is a solution. If gun control is not going to happen, maybe the solution is we spend a bunch of money on making schools to where it's really hard to get into them unless, you have the correct identification, where you have to have metal detectors. I know we don't want that. That doesn't seem to make sense. But my analogy is like in the 30s, we had the issue of bank robberies, right? Because people just pull up on banks.
A bank is so different from a school, Tony.
Well, in the 30s, issue of bank robberies, people pull up on the banks, they rob the bank, right? We didn't take away our AR-15s, we just made banks almost impenetrable, basically. I think that's what has to happen with schools.
Also, those are private businesses, but go ahead.
Yeah, those are private businesses, so they have the incentive to do that. I think you can have the political incentive to make schools the same way, to where to even get into the school, there's a double glass door to go through. I know you don't. I know this. People don't like this.
No. I have other reasons. I mean, I do. I hate it, but
Yeah.
I absolutely hate it. But I have plenty of other reasons.
I mean, besides money, what are the reasons do you have?
And this is part. It goes hand in hand with the gun thing, and it ties into what we're not getting into right now. But like the CRT situation. Okay, I don't know who you think any of these people are to maintain, to implement, because regardless of what political will we have a lot of political will to do a lot of things around education, and we never have the money to do it. So skirt, it's not going to happen unless the technology, like with computers in schools, the technology advanced to the point where the technology itself that was necessary to like facilitate education became cheap and affordable. Chromebooks, which is like the ghetto school computer. A lot of schools have computers now. Urban school in a major city. Schools have computers. That's just what's going to happen. Yeah. If your school is broke, you got Chromebooks because that's like the cheapest version, and it goes up from there. There's no such security system that I'm aware of that could actually prevent this situation where we can like scale it up across the nation. I don't see it happening. Who are these police security personnel? We already know security personnel trash. Yeah. You and I both are fully aware of how trash security personnel can be. Principals and teachers who want to and will every day of the school year, with everything else they have to do around a school. Schools make everything difficult because you're dealing with children, so you have to have a certain patience and allow certain things, but you also cannot tolerate other things that you can allow in wider society. I mean, give them another plate to spin. Give them another glass globe, I don't know, to juggle. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, make it more difficult, please. Well, I can't. Yeah, I can't imagine it. Can't see it.
Well, some things are self-sustaining, like doors are locked from the outside. Because the guy in this case,
that's pretty standard.
It wasn't Uvalde. He was
and also you got the rural schools, because my experience is with different levels of school, whether private or charter or public, in Houston, right. Fourth largest city in the country. But in Uvalde, I don't know what they've got to do over there. And there's probably taxes. So I don't know where you're gonna get the money from.
Probably federal dollars. You're gonna probably spend like $1 trillion on this.
Y'all, you think somebody's gonna give Joe that money?
I feel they'd rather give Joe $1 trillion to do this than gun control.
Also, let's be going in circles.
We also only 50 votes to do it too. Like, it wouldn't require getting the filibuster.
Also, there's that argument that has been made about high security, building your school like, and you said a fortress. That's excellent rhetoric right there. A politician, a lawyer.
It's a prison.
It's a prison. Look. Right? Yeah. Let's see the quiet part out loud. It's a prison, and the prison vibes are not good for learning. Okay,
they're not. But I mean, I was thinking I want to draw the work. Like, really, if we cannot do gun control, and we're saying,
check me out. Are you ready for the next solution? My hot take. I've yet to give a hot take. I've just been regular lukewarm observations. Hot take. Everybody's stupid. Okay, here's the deal. Because nobody's saying what I've heard. Nobody say what I'm saying. I've heard nobody. Am I that plugged in? No, because these are exhausting. So maybe I missed it. But Democrats, no, everybody who feels like a red-blooded human being, because it's not a Democrat thing. But everybody who's not married to the gun, who does not pray, you know what I'm saying, with something on their hip.
Right.
Before they go to bed. Maybe you pray it with something on your hip at church. not when you're finna go to bed, right?
Guns, gridiron, and God, basically.
Texas, that's how we do it. But everybody who's regular, who sees this and is like, dang, we have to do something, right? They're thinking regulation. They're thinking, okay, how do we get the guns out of their hands? Is it psychological? Can we put a psych test on it? Can we put a background test on it? Maybe not this high capacity, maybe not this assault. Okay. You're still at the wrong end of the issue. Republicans answer that with over my dead body. Remember the Alamo, come and take it. It's not going to happen. We're done. That's a gridlock. Mm-hmm. But with their reply, but not listen to the reply. Liberals, listen, Democrats, and I'm talking about those who are elected officials. Listen, you're not listening. They say it's a mental health issue. Greg Abbott, in fact, yesterday said that anybody who could commit, he said every time that you see a mass shooting, there is a mental health problem. This is the go-to line of the gun lobby and consequently Republicans as they parrot the NRA's argument, because that spikes out of all the gun control stuff and says, okay, there's a cultural problem. Now, when you want to get religious conservative, our nation is fallen. We need to get back to our traditional European American Christian values, blah, blah, blah. I'm not with that. Let's pause on mental health. Texas, I heard this on the radio today. I said, what? Texas has the lowest availability of mental health professionals in the country. We have the greatest availability of guns and the lowest availability of mental health care.
Yeah, I mean, here's the problem, though. I mean, I come to that with the issue of there's a cultural problem when it comes to the mental health issue. When people are willing to, this is talking about Christians.
Okay, but
pray away the sad.
Cultures change now. And look, if something must give, and if those who actually are moved by these experiences are really moved and they want to do something, they're giving you they've been saying it for my entire lifetime that it's a mental health problem. In Columbine happened before I was born, right?
Yeah.
Columbine's 97?
Yeah, happened after you were born.
Yeah, I don't remember it.
Yeah.
I guess I was here, but I don't remember that. So you know what I'm saying? This is my whole life. We've been seeing this exact same argument. And the ears aren't tingling. That sounds like universal health. It sounds like it needs to be universal. Sounds like you need to be a large investment. And there's a bunch of unemployed psychology majors out there. They're chopping at the bit. They're ready to get that bread.
I mean, what happened, the response that the liberals have said on Twitter to that is that Republicans vote against any expansion of the ACA or any expansion of Medicare or Medicaid.
I'm aware.
Yeah.
I'm acutely aware.
Yeah.
But the amount of pressure, the amount of money, efforts put toward actually controlling the possession of the weapons could be better. This fight has not been fought.
Yeah. It's a fight
it's been fought around healthcare, but it hasn't been fought in the save our children vibe. That changes the conversation. And I feel like that actually matters. Like that actually could do something. Because I don't believe in a lot of the gun control measures because I don't believe they'd work. And we have guns are just littered about the country, especially the state. So confiscating them and trying to control who can purchase, that's so difficult that even if we did everything that has been proposed, it still might not work.
Yeah.
But actually helping people be healthy in their mind, where you have 18-year-olds routinely at this point, 18-year-olds have not experienced life. If I may be so crass, probably haven't experienced sex. What?
Yeah. Yeah.
If I even thought about committing a mass shooting, I'd be like, well, I might want to do that before I, blow up my whole spot. Because, it's just things you want to check off the list before you go and throw it all away. Because now either you're dead, homeboys, Ramos isn't here anymore, or a homeboy from Buffalo, he's not getting any. So like you haven't experienced, you haven't made any money, you haven't built a family, you haven't even learned anything, you haven't been to college. The amount of life
similar on your breath still.
So the fact that you can have such a skewed perspective speaks to the way you were raised. Karens, let's do better, because y'all done raised a bunch of monsters out here.
Well, they keep telling them to raise monsters. That's what they told us to do.
Jordan Peterson did say that. He said that.
Yeah, he said raise monsters. Yeah,
but look, you're raising monsters, so the government is here to help you. Okay, and seriously though, if you're 18, you're committing a mass shooting, something is super wrong.
Mm-hmm.
The Unabomber is one thing, and he was crazy, but that's dejected from society, blah blah blah. The algorithm and the social pressures and the way you were raised and whatever culture has truly destroyed your mind. A mental health professional is necessary, and it's happening routinely. Our whole country needs some for real therapy for real. And that would actually, I believe, and this is entirely untested, of course, if not stop it, I don't believe it would stop it, but reduce dramatically. It would reduce the school shootings dramatically.
Yeah, I think in tandem, probably beefing up security and mental health together would probably be. That's right. If there was
look, we only have so much money to spend.
I mean, the amount of money we get to Ukraine, which I'm not against. I'm
with it.
We get into Ukraine tells me we got money to spend. We find the money to spend it. We want to spend it, so we can find the money to spend for this. I do think a bill that does two of those things: one, beef up security, and two, provides money for mental health, would probably be enough to get through probably a filibuster challenge. And there's enough Republicans willing to vote for that. But the problem is, it's going to take a lot of money to do that. Like you're talking about trillions of dollars.
And the gun lobby can't. That's the thing. The gun lobby won't. That's not your adversary at this point.
Yeah.
With either of those solutions. So, I mean, it's government healthcare, yes. But come on. Don't you want to get reelected? Don't you want that, bro? And then those who would truly like to complain about it, bro, just don't go to the sessions. I mean, you're probably gonna produce a shooter if you don't go to your sessions. But just don't go to the sessions, bro. It's something you can just opt out of.
Yeah. Let's real quick talk about for the last little bit. Let me break this off. Some of the issues around this, because I know people, some of my observations. There's a couple of things. One, there's lies being told. Beto Roy did this.
You know Beto, bro.
I just gotta say, there's lies being told.
Leave Beto alone. One
of the lies being told is that they keep saying Americans have universal support, that we have bipartisan support for gun control. Yeah. I need people to stop saying that lie, because there's universal support for like universal background checks. And that's when you ask the question, just very like tamely, do you think people should have a background check when they purchase a gun? And I'm talking about like very routine background check, run your ID, make sure the warrants pop up, right?
Yeah.
Most shooters are going to pass that already. Anything deeper than that, where we're actually trying to catch the shooters that we're talking about, it automatically starts going to most people don't support it, right? We're talking about FBI background checks, waiting period background checks. We're talking about background checks that requires you like your algorithm, maybe. Then people are like, nope, I don't want that, right? When they talk about AR-15 bans, not universally supported, right? There's staunch people. There's people who are staunchly against it. And then on top of that, there's people who haven't made their minds up yet because they have other things to deal with. And if you really like start to like grill them down, and they're like, I don't know, probably not. It's going to require me to do something. I don't want to deal with it. On top of all of that, the second lie is being told, right? No one has brought the Supreme Court any of this. When we talk about gun control, we probably need to talk about the fact there's a case in front of the Supreme Court where I think it's highly likely the Supreme Court is about to say that shall not infringe means most gun control is outlawed. Like there's a list.
The no compromise.
What do you mean?
There's like the no compromise movement where it's like shout out and friends, like nothing can impede my ownership of gun. Like, so basically everywhere becomes Texas.
So basically, because like New York has a law where like you basically have to have like, if you come to the state with a gun, you got to register it. You got to like have a reason for it.
No, it's super difficult. It's super difficult to have a gun in New York.
Yeah. And they're talking about this. I'm more likely that law's going to get thrown out. And we're moving towards, and I think we have 6 votes on the courts now that are either shall not infringe or just the smallest infringement possible, you know? And so I think we're not talking about that enough. That's another lot that's being told. Because like, if we're going to, because they keep talking as if gun control is easy, but we just need to do it. Y'all don't care enough. We just need to do it. And I'm like, the people with you, the people are not with you on this issue like you think they are, right? I know people can get into their silos and get on Twitter, but man, I live in Texas. I see it every day. They're not with you.
Every day.
Yeah. And the second thing is that you may have, even if they work with you, Supreme Court's not with you on this. And that's a whole nother issue, right? And you're going to probably require 30 to 40 years worth of building up judges who are with you, right? And the last lie that's being told to me is that I'm really having an issue with is, I know this kind of goes back to everything we're going to talk about again. People getting mad at Joe Biden, or like getting mad at politicians not doing enough. They're like, How can we have
Yeah, what is Joe supposed to do?
Yeah, like that's really like that again. Can we stop doing that, please? Like,
I mean, you can. I do understand the rage at basically all my NRA politicians.
Yeah,
because they're bought. That's pretty much what that is. They don't do anything.
Are they bought though? Because I mean, if Greg Abbott didn't have the NRA giving him how many millions of dollars they gave him, he would still have 60% of Texans or 65% of Texans who are okay with what he's doing on guns.
And that is what I do like. I forgot. It was Steve Kerr who was saying, because you're holding on to power.
Yeah.
And that is most important. And I was wondering how I was going to, like, when he started that sentence, I was like, what? Is he going to talk about the money? What are you, Steve Kerr really going in? He's like, I'm not talking about basketball tonight. Shout out good basketball coaches. But it's about this, the money and the power, the influence. Now, I stick mainly to the NRA. I say they're bought because like the lobby has them in the palm of their hand. They're controlling them.
Right.
Because if you are to step away from that, from the gun policy line, you still could be, generally agreeable conservative politician that everybody relies on and will reelect until the NRA sends letters around about you.
Right.
And then now he's changed. Now he's not about the conservative values. He's trying to take away guns. And so when I say they're bought, I mean they're more both literally and figuratively.
Yeah, I mean, bought by power, maybe. I think I really do like this and abortion are two issues where I find the conversation about the politics to be misaligned with what people's actual opinions are, right? So I know John Trump made it believe that polls don't matter. They do. And I think you need to start checking the polls because on abortion, people were like, I really don't want Roe versus Wade to be overturned, but can you like not talk to me about this? Because I really don't care. Like it's like that's really they're like, hey, when you try to drill down their actual opinion on it, and you start actually like asking real hard questions about it, they start being like, can we just do Roe and I like nothing else? And like when Roe's gone, what do you want then? I don't really care. It's whatever my state wants to do, right? Maybe you're at this point, this is my last point. I think the gun control thinks they're Martin Luther King in 1965. They think they're right there. They just need a couple more incidents to get there. Their LGBTQ rights in the 1980s, they're much further off. They have a whole cultural campaign they have to wage before they can even get to the ideal of being married.
Okay. It's interesting you say that. I think I'm with you, but the conservative socialization, the way they make more of themselves is really strong. They'd be raising clones, ideological clones of themselves and their children. But at the same time, and I don't know what the poll numbers on this would be, or if you could run a poll on this. These kids, I grew up in the era of school shootings, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
After the year after I was born, Columbine, and that's the beginning of a new era. But being a kid and then being as frequent as they are now, and my kids have seen I don't know how many just in the news over and over again, and they were children, like small, Yeah. I remember Virginia Tech and being shocked by that, and I remember being told about Columbine. There's a lot of space between those. I mean, I cannot imagine how that changes their outlook on it when it's seemingly imminent.
That's why I say 1980s, though. I still say 1980s because
my kids are in middle school, though, so I mean they're only 10 years away from being an adult.
Yeah, but I'm saying like because like my cousins were born late 80s, early 90s. I'm born in mid 90s, right? Have a much different opinion when it comes to LGBTQ rights than my parents did, right? And that's because we grew up as they became more frequent on TV, and we started seeing them in our homes more often. We're like, maybe not every lesbian is crazy. Ellen's cool, And then also the issues, them getting like stumped out in the streets, which actually happened in Houston in 94, the year I was born, became like actual like serious news stories that I talked about a lot more, right? Every time it happened, it was an event. And so that's what I say, like my child, may see a world where the culture has shifted enough to, yes, that's probably possible to do gun control legislation. But I still think it's only because she's gonna grow up in a world where on TV every Sunday, every school, every kids TV show is gonna have a Saturday specials where they have like a
school shooting episode.
Yeah, they're gonna have an episode about that. And she's gonna grow up in school where they're going to do drills for school.
Oh boy,
because
we do. Yeah, we did lockdown drills, and I do them at my school.
They weren't like school shooting drills. They were like lockdown drills. For me, I just remember lockdown drills like
the premise was in case someone wants to come in here and do harm. Of course, they weren't. I remember doing them, and I was a kid, so they weren't gonna be like, they come in here shoot it. They were trying to scare the kids, but they're like,
TBH.
Hey, you never know.
TBH, I thought it was about the war, the Iraq and Afghanistan war.
I thought it was a shooter.
Yeah,
I thought it was a school shooter. I'm not gonna lie to you.
But like, I thought like a school shooter, as in like someone was coming here and do 9/11. Yeah, terrorists. Yeah. And that's kind of what I feel like the framework was also.
ISIS
but like
is coming into school, Hezbollah is here.
But like even our parents grew up in a world where they did atomic bomb drills, and
yeah,
it took them getting older enough to where my dad's first election is Reagan's election, my mom's first election is Clinton. But they both grow up. By the time they get political power, is when they start having nuclear deals done. So that's why I'm thinking it's gonna take another generation before we get there. And that's why I say they think they're Martin Luther King in 1965. They're not.
But they're not 19. They're like Ellen in the 90s.
I think they're further back than that, bro. I think they're further back than that.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah. All right, Sons Brown.
Irvin Bryant.
Peace.
Do it to him,